Ladies and gentlemen, this is UX and this is Miscellaneous Myths, Typhon by the channel Only Sarcastic Production. Are you getting sick of Zeus? Are his constant antics getting you down? Do you want to hear about the time he got his ass kicked by Godzilla? Oh yes, this is gonna be a fun video. Yeah, Zeus is basically, you think this is the kind of person like, the god, right? The Olympian. In every movies and every other places, he's portrayed as this good entity, like he's Zeus, wise and good god or something. But clearly that's not the case. Reacting to all the sarcastic production videos, I've come to realize that he's not that. He constantly bone anything that he moves. Basically, he obviously without their consent. And that's a constant theme everywhere. He does what he wants, doesn't care about anything and anyone. So yeah, sometimes it just becomes too much. So this is going to be a fun video where he gets his ass kicked apparently. How does that happen though? Is Typhon some kind of a titan or something? Because, how did Typhon kick Zeus's ass? I mean, yeah, this is going to be something. I've got quite a few Only Sarcastic Production videos already. If you haven't seen them, check out the cards. There's a playlist decorated for it. Only Sarcastic Production Reaction. I upload lots of videos in 24 hours. So, you might have missed some of them. Check that out. Check out the playlist too, like Inter-Historian, Tier Zoo, Real Life Lore, History. And yeah, let's do this.
Ah, Zeus. You were so promising back in the day. Freeing your siblings, overthrowing your tyrannical father Kronos, casting the Titans into Tartarus, becoming Lord of the Heavens, and ruling the ancient world with wisdom you got from absorbing your first wife. That's such a strong start for the heroic king of the gods. And sure, you married your sister, but that was traditional for gods. It could have been way worse. And then you spent centuries screwing with humanity, punishing Prometheus for trying to help them out, commissioning Pandora specifically to screw them over, and systematically having sex with as much of the female population as you could manage by any means necessary. I mean, you're the king of the gods, Lord of Thunder. You have a killer aesthetic. I want you to be cool. You have so much going for you. But there's only so much
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? That does make you wonder, like, he's Zeus, the god. He has the looks, he has everything. He doesn't need to forcibly, bone people, without their consent like that. He can just go to them and say, I'm Zeus, I'm the god Zeus. Look at me, look at my abs or whatever. It would be such easier for him. But he still does that because I think he doesn't think much of humans. He thinks humans are like nothing, so that's why he punished that guy who helped humanity. That's why the Pandora and everything. So he really doesn't think anything about human, doesn't care about human much. And that's why he doesn't put any effort into, basically to talk like, hey, I'm Zeus or anything. No, he just picks, whoever he wants to bone and just does that, whether they want it or not. So I think he doesn't want to put any effort into it. That's the only explanation I can come up with.
I can respect a god who routinely turns himself into livestock specifically for the purpose of boning unsuspecting humans. Some days I just really want to see you.
He just doesn't care, that's the thing.
So in the early days of ancient Greece, Zeus and the fam had just overthrown Kronos and cast the Titans into Tartarus, and by all accounts, Gaia wasn't too happy about her last batch of children getting slam dunked into the underworld sewage outflow pipe. Now, because the modern image of Mother Nature—
Wait a minute, Gaia is, I think, the grandmother of Zeus, right? Gaia and Uranus birthed Titans. One of the Titan Kronos birthed, Zeus and everybody, other Olympians. So that's the grandmother.
Is generally positive and nurturing, it can be easy to forget that personality-wise, Gaia covered all of nature. Storms, volcanoes, earthquakes, landslides. There's plenty of nice, happy tree stuff happening on the side, but in Greek mythology, Gaia mostly makes monsters, and this story is no exception. With Tartarus itself as the—
Yeah, see, at that time, I mean, what is the real-life monstrous thing you can look at? It's the Mother Nature. All the tornadoes and hurricanes and things like that. I mean, even today I see the footage of tornadoes, real life tornado is great footage. All the supercell forming and everything. It looks monstrous. So obviously people would, if they put image in their head like what is the monstrous thing, it's the weather and all the different things like hurricane and storms and things like that. So of course they are gonna show that as Gaia's main thing. Like, Gaia builds monsters, so, she controls all these storms and everything. That's why it's Mother Nature and things like that.
father, Gaia gives birth to the monstrous Typhon, a kaiju-sized eldritch abomination with loads of heads, flaming eyes, and just a whole bunch of snakes. Now, Typhon is unironically the biggest threat in Greek mythology. While primordial titans like Gaia and Uranos were physically bigger, they also had a lot less agency and didn't tend to directly oppose the gods. And while there were monsters aplenty, most of them were small enough that they could be taken down by one hero at a time, with maybe the bare minimum of divine assistance or the occasional flying horse. Typhon is in a weight class of his own. Physically huge and incredibly powerful, Typhon is more like a force of nature than a monster. He also plays into the Greek mythological succession cycle, where each ruler of the cosmos is successively overthrown by a new generation of gods. With Kronos defeating Uranos and Zeus defeating Kronos, Typhon is next in the lineup to take down Zeus and become the new ruler of the world. But before he starts off on any of the god fighting, the first thing he does is he goes and shacks up with the monstrous half-beautiful nymph, half-giant snake called Echidna. It's not her fault, guys. It was her name first. Anyway, Typhon and Echidna have a bunch of monster babies, including the Chimera, the Hydra, the Sphinx, the Nemean Lion, and Kerberos. With that out of the way, and plenty
Love that. Those were some gigantic names.
including the
Chimera, okay.
the Hydra, the Sphinx,
The Sphinx, like that Great Pyramid thing, huh?
the Nemean Lion, and Kerberos.
The Kerberos has that hellhound thing that the Hades has, that one, right? The gatekeeper or whatever.
With that out of the way, and plenty of antagonists established for future generations of heroes to fight, Typhon marches towards Olympus to smack down some gods. Now, in a couple versions of the story, the Olympians are so spooked by this fire-breathing Godzilla-sized snake monster that they shapeshift into animals and run away all the way to Egypt, which is a little random until you notice that Artemis turns into a cat, Hermes turns.
Okay, I was just about to say, like, okay, this is a bit weird. The Olympians runs away because of this creature, but then I realized, wait a minute, this creature was birthed by Gaia of all people. So of course he would have that titanic power like that to, kick Olympians' ass.
Into an ibis, Zeus turns into a ram, and yeah, basically, this is a little bit of early syncretism. It's specifically the ancient Greek explanation for why the Egyptians worshipped animal gods. As far as they were concerned, Bast was cat Artemis, Thoth was ibis Hermes, Amun was ram Zeus, etc. Pretty neat. But Zeus waits just long enough for the Egyptian artists to get his good side before turning back and hucking some lightning bolts at Typhon, driving the monster back before getting in close with an adamantine sickle. But when Zeus goes in for the kill, Typhon surprise grapples him and turns the tables by ripping out his tendons like he's a misbehaving chicken leg. So with Zeus's strength now roughly on par with a spaghetti plate, Typhon tosses him into a cave along with all of his loose tendons, and sets the half-beautiful nymph, half-enormous f***you dragon Delphine to guard it. Surprisingly, she's apparently got no relation to Echidna, the other half-lady, half-snake thing in the story. Anyway, then Typhon wanders off to presumably do giant monster things like knocking over buildings and breathing fire. But luckily, unlike every other overthrown king of the cosmos, Zeus doesn't need to languish for long, as Hermes and Pan sneak into the cave, retrieve his tendons, and restring him like the world's horniest ukulele. Now back at full power and presumably very annoyed, Zeus charges off after Typhon, and a truly epic battle commences. Earthquakes, volcanoes, fire everywhere, thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me, the works. Eventually, Zeus's thunderous assault wears Typhon down, and when he tries to run, Zeus responds with his characteristic sportsmanship and drops a mountain on it.
As soon as his characteristic sportsmanship, I'm like, yeah, I know what's coming.
His head. This produces the famous Mount Etna, one of the world's most active stratovolcanoes, and supposedly also the home to Hephaestus's forges.
Wait a minute, so Gaia, basically creator of mother of titans and mother of literally everything, created a monster to take down Zeus, and yet Zeus still kicked the Typhon's ass. I mean, how does that work? Did Gaia even wanted Zeus to be down? Because I feel like Gaia is the god in this sense, like one of the the main god, Gaia and Uranus basically. So if she created a monster like that to take Zeus, wouldn't Zeus should be, I guess taken down by now? So did she wanted him to go down, or this just, it's just like she can't just let her, children being in, basically in Tartarus go unpunished. So she wanted to punish Zeus, but didn't want him to go down or something like that. I don't know.
Which seems like a bit of a workplace hazard, I'm not gonna lie. Takes a lot of work to beat out the inherent dangers of working in an active volcano, but an imprisoned mega kaiju in the next room over manages it pretty handily. Anyway, Typhon's imprisonment is used to explain why Mount Etna is always getting the rumblies, and he's also credited with being responsible for the world's ill winds.
Mount Etna is in, I think, Sicily, right? Bottom of Italy. This is Greek mythology. So Greek people stressed all the way to Italy. I didn't know that. Damn.
That cause bad weather or bring storms. And fun fact, despite what one might assume, this is not actually the origin of the word typhoon, since while the etymologies are similar, typhoons don't happen in Europe, only in Asia. The word itself seems to have originated with the Chinese word for big wind, then been reinforced by the Arabic word for cyclonic storm.
That's Arabic, but I thought that was Hindi. Tufan. I thought that was Hindi. Like, yeah, Tufan, that does mean, that kind of storm.
And finally, lightly spiced with the Greek word Typhon when it made the jump into English. I think the lesson here is that the real monster was the English language all along. Black hole.
There's a few different versions of this myth as usual, but I think this one has the best narrative balance. Sometimes Zeus just wins by throwing lightning at the problem, which is lame. Yeah, what in some of the version he just wins by throwing a lightning? That would feel weird. Like, guy created this monster, one guy know that one lightning bolt is enough to take it down. Man, I love how the internal chronology of Greek mythology makes literally no sense. Is the number one reason I think getting hung up on the canon is an exercise in futility. Yeah, okay. Once you notice Hermes is the youngest god but also the father of Pan, one of the oldest gods. Oh yeah, one of the videos he talks about Pan, right? What is the Aphrodite video? You sort of gotta throw out all notion of linear. Yes, what's with that, man? I mean, since we are talking about God, I guess, you could go all the scientific and just say that all this thing, when it came to be, time wasn't that linear, I guess. I don't know. Let's fuck with time to, make sense of this, I guess. That's the only thing I can think of. Like the creation of gods, time was not that much of linear. So it's, I guess, I don't know. The youngest god. This is just weird. Anyway, yeah. Alright, that was Typhon. I like it. Guy just like, you know what, there you go. That's the monster that's gonna kick Zeus's ass. And he did, literally. He took out all his tendons. That was just awesome. Clearly Zeus kicked back, yeah. Alright people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction, this link in the description. Check out the castle playlist, check out the end cards, and I'll see you next time.